Our top story this afternoon, the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has touched down in the US for a 4-day visit, which will culminate with the state dinner in his honour at the White House. But the PM already has one eye on his next overseas trip to China next month. Our political editor Andrew Clennell is travelling with the Prime Minister and joined me a short time ago. The Prime Minister's just arrived in Washington. Andrew Clennell is with him and just out the front of the White House. Andrew, a big few days for the Prime Minister, but really the timing, it's come at a time of great uncertainty globally, hasn't it, his talks with President Biden?
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of, as terrible as the events are, Kieran, it's fortunate timing for the Prime Minister because it's an important time to be abreast of what America's doing at the moment and to ensure that they keep their presence and interest in the Indo-Pacific up while the Middle East war's raging. So, and also with the China trip, obviously. I mean, it's less than a fortnight now until Anthony Albanese goes to see President Xi Jinping. And surely he'll be talking to Biden, to Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, to Lloyd Austin, the Defence Secretary, to Kamala Harris, the Vice President, and other officials in America about what message to take to China, what to watch out for in terms of those talks. Two world powers in a fortnight for the Prime Minister. He made some brief remarks, Kieran, just a short time ago. We'll play to you now.
The United States relationship with Australia is our most important. The first pillar, of course, is our defence relationship, making sure that the AUKUS arrangements are put in place and talking with Congress and Senate about the legislation that's required to turn this vision into a practical reality. It will be a very important visit that comes at a turbulent time for the world. But the good thing about Australia and the United States is the strength of the relationship means it provides that stability, that security, and that comfort with each other that comes from our common values.
So, Kieran, we know Congress hasn't been able to give Joe Biden a speaker. They've also been threatening to hold up the legislation which would underpin the AUKUS nuclear submarine agreement with Australia going ahead. Anthony Albanese will be meeting various congressmen, encouraging them to assist that to go ahead. And there's some hope with that, with Joe Biden's $105 billion legislation proposed for the Middle East war and Ukraine. Inside that's $3 billion for developing the defence industrial capability of America, which could get Republicans over the line on the AUKUS deal. So that's a key focus of the trip. The state dinner's a big deal as well. I mean, the meeting in the Oval Office, the press conference, joint press conference is Thursday Australian time. It is Wednesday American time, and the state dinner, of course. And a lot of speculation about some pretty big Australian names could be at that dinner. They're being very, very tight-lipped about it, Australian officials, that they really feel it's the White House's information to release. Don't want to say people's on the list until they actually turn up. But I've heard from a Canberra source that Taryn Brumfitt, who was the Australian of the Year, a body image champion, is one guest. I've heard other business and sport leader names. No doubt we'll try to speak to some of these people on Thursday Australian time. But an important meeting for Anthony Albanese, and timely in a sense that Australia is recognised by America at this time.
Now, Andrew, when you look at the state visit, that is obviously the rolling out of the red carpet. The Prime Minister staying at Blair House, which is the official guest house for major commitments like this and international visitors. So, as I say, the red carpet being rolled out, but the symbolism is important here at a time when the US is trying to keep the Middle East together, so much conflict happening around the world. It's a chance for Joe Biden to embrace one of his closest allies, Andrew.
That's right. And Blair House, where the PM's staying, is right next to the White House here. He entered there just a short time ago, Anthony Albanese. But look, you do want your allies to be around you at times like this. OK, we're not a great power, Australia, but We're in an important part of the world. We are an important ally to America. They are certainly everything to us strategically. So it is timely. And as I say, AUKUS to be a focus. Andrew Hastie, the Shadow Defence Minister, he was on Sunday Agenda with you yesterday, and he urged the Australian government to get on with things. He thinks they've already fallen behind when it comes to delivering nuclear submarine capability to Australia.
We are behind on AUKUS. The Senate and the Congress, they'll have a lot of questions for our Prime Minister, and he's got to maintain the confidence of the US, particularly as they're preparing to hand over the crown jewels of their military secrets in the form of nuclear power submarines.
Andrew, I know it is getting late there. I'll let you go in a minute, but just give our viewers a sense of the first 24 hours. What's on the schedule? The PM meeting, not just with the President, but several other senior figures while he's there.
Well, he hasn't been lucky enough to be able to address Congress. They were hoping to do that because of the Speaker situation. He's going to Arlington National Cemetery overnight, Australian time. We'll have a press conference from the Prime Minister tomorrow, and he'll go and see his old boss, Kevin Rudd. And then we go on from there in the days following with the congressional meetings. There's some form of dinner tomorrow night. Suspicion that could be with Jill and Joe Biden, but that's yet to be confirmed. As I say, it really looks like that Thursday's the big day in terms of Australian time, state dinner, meeting with the President, and an address to the State Department the following day, Friday Australian time, just before he flies out in place of the Congress address. He is delivering 8 speeches while he's here. Not all of them will be for public consumption. So certainly a lot of work done by the Prime Minister and Australian officials on this trip, Kieran.
Political Editor Andrew Clennell joining us from Washington. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks, Kieran.